This, my friends, is the book hunting equivalent of a lottery ticket. Let me explain.
Hello again, and welcome back for an episode of Adventures in Book Hunting. And this one's an actual book hunting episode. Haven't had one in a quick minute. But in any event, this one is about a book hunting lottery ticket. And to explain, if I'm buying a book and I'm not sure if it's something that will be valuable or even usable, I call that a lottery ticket. I've had a couple over the years. Several years back, I got a set of Robert Louis Stevenson books that were about 90 years old, and they were wrapped in brown wax paper, which looked as antique as the books. And they cost me 50 cents a volume, so $5. And I thought, well, it's worth taking a chance. They look like they were in reasonably good shape, but if they're not valuable, I'll keep them. That was back in my very book dragony days. But in any event, it turned out the set was going online, various venues for as much as $120, $130, and the low range was 100. And so I thought, oh wow, what a score! And I kept those books for many, many years, and then donated them to the Hatter as part of a downsizing project. And it had all the works you'd expect for Robert Louis Stevenson. Treasure Island, Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde, so on and so forth. Kidnapped. Um, well, this past weekend, I had a similar experience. I was at a local flea market, just browsing around. Usually, flea markets tend, at least for me, to be uh, a lot of work for very little gain. Although I've been having better luck lately with flea markets. And in this one, I found a couple of books from one vendor that I knew I was going to get, had already purchased them, and was just browsing around when out of the corner of my eye, I spotted a cardboard box with several red books, uh, you know, visible out of the top. Went over and took a look, and it was a very nasty, dirty box full of very old, nasty, dirty books. And I mean dirt in the very generic sense. Uh, Black smudges all over, dusty cobwebs, um, but so on and so forth. But I started to just glance through and saw that the first two or three titles were all Mark Twain. Um, and the vendor walked up to me and said, "I'm going to make you a great offer." I asked him, "Well, what's a great offer?" And he says, $5 for the whole box. And just looking at the box, I knew it could have at least 20 books in it. And so my hope was that I'd get a full set of whatever this was, because they seem to have uniform covers. I did not get a full set, but I think I still got something pretty interesting, pretty valuable, with a lot of potential. What I found was a set of Mark Twain books with matching bindings. Um, when I got them back to the cabin in the woods, I spent some time cleaning them. I scrubbed them down with some mild soap and water. Got a lot of the gunk off. Um, uh, like I say, this one cleaned up better than most of them. Um, but with just some very minimal cleaning, they spruced up a little bit. I took a small brush and brushed all of the exposed papers and went through the books, doing the same through the books. And then started to do after I had them at least initially clean. I did a little research. This was 19 books out of a 25 volume set of all Mark Twain. And a little research revealed that it's something called the National Edition. Um, in the 1890s, Twain, at the height of his popularity as a writer, made a deal with a company called Hillcrest to publish basically all his works in one set. And I believe the original set was like $24. It did fairly well. He had some disputes with that publisher, some disagreements about how to proceed, and he then took the next edition or iteration of the National Edition, to a company called Harper and Brothers. And Harper and Brothers published several editions, all with red bindings, mostly red cloth. And they would reissue them periodically with just a slightly different format. Their sets were 20, as I said, 25 volumes. Originally, the papers were gold gilded. This was, of course, mostly worn off. You can see where some of the color from the cover has bled over. But like I said, they're in rough shape. Little research indicated that this was the third set that Harper and Brothers had put out. Mark Twain died in 1910, and this was the first edition that they issued after his death. And you can tell it's that edition. Show you this. It has what they call a cornstalk embellishment on the spine. Gold lettering. They all have gold lettering. And this set had a little embossed relief image of Twain himself there on the cover. If you had the full set and were buying it from them in 1913, it would cost you $25. And apparently, that was such a vast sum in 1912, 1913 that you could make payments. And if you made it in one payment, they gave you a discount, and it was only like $23 and change. If you think about that in modern terms, that's several $100s in modern American money. But in looking through to see what I've got, as I said, I've got 19 books, and I haven't been able to find a complete list of what's supposed to be in this set. But I know what I'm missing, just from my own knowledge of Twain's canon. I'm missing Volume 3, which would be, I believe, the second half of Tramp Abroad, one of his travel books. And I found the numbering system was a bit strange. The first several numbers in the set are travel books, Innocents Abroad, Tramps Abroad, Around the Equator, Life on the Mississippi. Like I say, travel sorts of writing. And then after that, you got into the fiction, and that's where most of my missing volumes are. I have Connecticut Yankee and King Arthur's Court. I've got The Prince and the Pauper. I have tons and tons of his short stories, but I'm missing some really obvious ones. I don't have any of the Tom Sawyer books. No Tom Sawyer, no Tom Sawyer Abroad, no Tom Sawyer Detective. I don't have Huckleberry Finn. And I'm sure that's at least 3 of those volumes right there. And if this is truly a 25 volume set, I'm missing volume 25. Each individual volume is on the title page, indicates that it is indeed the Author's National Edition, The Writings of Mark Twain. This is volume 7. And I have up through volume 24. So if the information I have is accurate, I'm missing the last volume, which is probably essays and nonfiction writing, based on the other things that were around it. Each book has a facsimile autograph from Twain. This is the authorized uniform edition of all my books, Mark Twain. And that facsimile is printed in every book in every one of the national edition sets. And there are illustrations throughout by various artists. This one is entitled "Riding a Bucking Bronco," which makes sense for a volume called "Roughing It." But other than that, let's see if I can find any interior illustrations. I believe there were. There's one. Yeah. It's one of the interior illustrations entitled "Here Was Romance." Anyway, there are a few of these black and white illustrations in each one. I can't find in my research anyone who has a complete set, at least that they're offering for sale. I'm sure there are libraries and institutions that probably do have a full sets, but at least online, through the obvious sources, eBay, Amazon, Abe Books, Thrift Books, a few others I'm probably not even thinking of right now, but all of those sorts of outlets. The most I've found is one vendor who's selling 14 of the books for $100. and I found several individual volumes that are selling from anywhere from $10 to $20. Now, for 19 volumes out of 25, uh, I'm sure the basement price, the floor price on that probably is at least $100. The books I have appear to be in about the same shape as the fellow who's selling 14. But I'm going to do some more research, see if I can find more of these volumes available in other markets. And right now, I'm still in the cleaning and sanitizing phase. I'm going to take each of these books, seal them airtight in plastic, probably freeze each one, or freeze them in groups for at least 24 hours to get rid of any lingering vermin. I'm in a room full of books now, but I've not been keeping these with other books. They have been quarantined. But that should kill any fauna that's still in here. And then I've been doing some research. I'm going to try some things to try and restore some of the color and see what I can do. Once again, it's a lottery ticket. I paid $5 for these books. I'm thinking as a set, at least $100. Some of the volumes are probably marketable individually, like say anywhere from $10 to $20 is what looks like the asking price is online. So, like I say, I'm very happy with what I've got. Uh, I'll probably be even happier when I figure out how much I can actually clean and restore these things to get them back to as original shape as I possibly can. Uh, they're already looking much nicer. Um, and like I say, I have some ideas to restore some of the color. I don't know what I'm going to do about the gold gilding, or gilding. I'm thinking about removing it because this one has more, none on that side. Yeah, almost none on the bottom. Like I say, a good bit on top, but it's nowhere near complete. It is quite worn. I'm weighing the idea of removing it. It's real easy to remove that gilding. Big difference between gelding and gilding. But anyway, there's some real simple ways you can just remove it. Like I said, just kicking that idea around, because a bad restoration can, do a lot of harm to value. These, I just don't know, but I think they would look better instead of this, having that just plain white. But we'll see what we can do, and I will probably revisit this set in a couple weeks when I get them into the final shape that they're going to be in, and then figure out what I'm going to do with them. If the Hatter wants them, they get first dibs. And if they don't want them, I'll probably keep them, like I say, and then donate the twain that they overlap. I know I have decent editions of Roughing It, Innocents Abroad, Life on the Mississippi, Prince and the Pauper. I know I already have. And I believe I have a pretty good edition of Connecticut Yankee and King Arthur's Court. What really tempts me to keep them, though, is all the essays and short stories, other miscellaneous short stories that weren't ever compiled into a collection, because you've got all of those, including a lot of his literary criticism. Basically, I've got most of an encyclopedia of Mark Twain. I'm thrilled to have gotten them all for $5. And like I say, now it's just thinking time. What will I do? One way or the other, I'll let you guys know. Hopefully in a couple weeks. But until then, this is the kind of thing I kind of live for. I find good books all the time, but the really special stuff, it's kind of a rarity. Anyway, goodbye until we meet again, and good book hunting.